Hey everyone, Darwin here. Welcome back to the Totally Wee Workshop. Well, we took some of that pine and we built an outhouse with it over the course of the winter up at Spryberry Farm. And today's project is to finish off the deck. What they used to use as an outhouse was this tent over the pit. It's semi-disassembled right now because of the winter. Donna's away, so she hasn't had to have an outhouse for her trips to the farm. And the new one is going to be ready just in time for her return. We're calling it Donna's Spa. It's really big, about twice the size as a normal outhouse and really tall as well. But we wanted to give it that sort of spacious feeling. Donna's gonna hopefully have a stand-up bathing area inside. It's got a small window on each side and a large window on the back made out of an old door. So you can see we've got a couple of planks here so people can get up into the outhouse right now, but what we want to put here are some cedar boards. Scott and Donna have got a bunch of old cedar that we're going to try and reuse. So we're going to see what's available, run the planks along the length of the outhouse. Hopefully we can reuse them so we don't have to buy any new stuff. So let's go find that old cedar. There's an older outhouse that they've had for quite some time. Also a room with a view. And here's the lumber we're looking at. So we're gonna see what we can make of this. Needs to be about 10 feet long, and we can build it up. There's enough here I think we can work with. So let's see what we can pull out. So I've got these divided into two piles. Those ones had some rot in them, even though they're cedar. They were just lying in this pile for a couple of years. These ones are actually, I think, usable. I don't need the full length, so we'll probably be able to cut them back. We'll plane. I'll work through all of them and plane them and run them through the table saw, get them to size, and then we'll see which ones are good and which ones we can use. I need about 7 lengths of 4-inch wide pieces, so I think we can get that out of here. So the pickup truck and the tractor are not at the workshop right now. I'm going to move these with the ATV, so a little bit of a hack job. We'll see how it goes. That worked. I'm going to remove some staples and nails, and then I'm going to cut them to length. Scott's workshop at the farm is definitely bigger than the Totally Wee workshop back in the city. And the nice thing is he's got all the big equipment. Nice table saw, great bandsaw, big planer. But like most workshops, you still have to move things around to be able to use the equipment. Well, I was juggling with the dimensions of the boards and the dimension of the room and figured actually I could just get the boards through the table saw from one end to the other if we ran it diagonally. But Scott came and said, hey, it's time to open up for spring. So we took the insulating doors off, and we've got the workshop doors open wide. So now I've got room to just run the boards through straight like we normally do. Running one side through the table saw, I flipped each board and ran them through again so I'd have a clean edge on either side. So I struggled with the planer. The wood was too wet to run through it. I tried with a couple of pieces and it just wasn't going. So I cleaned up the rest, cut a bunch into some kindling. Scott said he was going to use the scrap for kindling, so I did that. And then I took a bunch of those and used those as stickers to stack the wood here. So it can stay here for a week or so. It doesn't have to be completely dry for what we're using it for. It just needed to be dry enough to run through the planer. But if that doesn't work, I'll give it a shot another time. And if that doesn't work, then we'll just put them in, and once it's completely dry after a few days of sun, we'll run a sander over it, and that should be good enough. The boards are pretty flat. There's nothing really coming out. I just wanted to clean off the outer layer just to make it look nice and new. But we can do that with a sander too. Hey everyone, it's been a couple weeks since I tried to shove wet wood through a planer. That didn't work. Hopefully the wood's a little drier now. We've tested it with a moisture meter. It looks pretty good. Scott and I also took a look at the planer. It needs a little bit of tuning, and maybe that's gonna make the difference. So let's find out. Okay, great. So the wood was dry enough. We were able to run it through the planer, get some clean faces. Ran through the wood fairly quickly, although I find it's always a little bit tricky finding that first plane. I should measure a little more accurately, set up the height of the planer so it's a little bit easier, but it always took a few runs through before I could find that first surface. But we did it. Now we can take these boards out to the outhouse and put them in place. So this worked out really well. Lengths of the boards were perfect. We didn't have to do any additional cutting. The overhang on either side was great. As we added the boards, there was a little bit of a bow on some of them, so we had to space them out. We started screwing in generally from the middle after we got through a couple of boards, figured out our process. We start with the middle and then crank the edges out to get a straight edge. And it worked out fantastic. Once we got to the end, we noticed that we were going to have a bit of an overhang on the final piece, but what added a nice feature was putting this extra board that we had onto the outer edge, front edge, facing edge, and that gave us the extra width that we needed to put the final board in place on top of it. Success! Well, the deck of the outhouse is done. All the cedar worked out perfectly. After we added this little addition at the end, we had exactly the right dimensions. And I think it added a nice little look to it. Finished it off nicely. Hey, thanks a lot for watching. If you're enjoying the videos, hit the like button, click subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you soon.